To know.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. The final push for the holiday shopping season is approaching, and packages will be delivered from now until Christmas Eve. That is prompting local law enforcement to remind residents of the importance of getting those packages secured soon after their delivery. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lowers indicates that even in a small town like Clinton, there is no immunity to people seeking to snatch packages off the porches of unsuspecting homeowners.
We talk a lot about holiday safety and shopping safety. I think one of the last times we talked about when we're out shopping, we'd love to see you shop locally, but when you're out and about, maybe the larger shopping areas in our general area, we've talked about those safety things. Mm-hmm. And the truth of it is, Seth, those encounters and whatnot are very minimal compared to the amount of theft that we experience here locally with online shopping and package delivery, what we commonly refer to as porch pirates. And so, I know that as we're driving around on patrol, we're seeing Amazon and different delivery companies delivering packages to porches just all the time. Mm-hmm. And so, it's great. There's so many people now that have Ring cameras or different variations of home security systems and cameras. That's fantastic. Not only would that capture a crime that would help us solve that crime, but keep in mind that that's responsive to a crime already occurring. Mm-hmm. What we would prefer to do is deter that crime from the get-go or prevent it from ever happening to begin with.
According to Chief Lowers, there are many ways to handle securing those packages that are on your porch. With the way tracking deliveries has advanced, it's often real-time updates with photo evidence of those packages getting delivered.
When you're doing your online shopping and you're having things delivered to your home, there's great opportunity or options to have, a box that the delivery driver can put that in and lock it. Mm-hmm. You see that a lot. You see it very more commonly out in the country, but there's no reason to not utilize such a thing in town as well. Some type of a locking mechanism to deliver those packages to. But just like you said, having a friend or a neighbor on the lookout. Most times when things are delivered to our home, we are notified that it's been delivered. Mm-hmm. So many of the companies now take a photo of it and send that to you in the confirmation to confirm that they have dropped it off on your porch. And so that would give you the opportunity, if you're not home, to contact that neighbor or family or friend or something to have them pick that up and secure it. We'd much rather have those things done ahead of time or prevent that crime. The cameras are wonderful. They help us solve crimes, but what we'd really prefer is to prevent that from ever happening to begin with. Sure. And so, I know that it gets complicated when especially this time of year when we have so much delivery, so many packages, and oftentimes people lose track of what they've ordered and what they have coming. Keep a good roster of what you've ordered, what you've got coming. Follow those emails as to when things are in transit and when they're scheduled to be delivered, and do your best to make arrangements to have those things secured.
Chief Lowers also notes that home security systems are great, and he recommends making sure they are updated and working properly. While they can deter crime at your residence, they can also be helpful in solving crime elsewhere.
As home security systems got to be more prevalent and more popular, it's not mandatory, and it's certainly not an invasion of privacy. How we utilize that is, what we ask is for individuals that have home security cameras, if they would be willing to contact us, let us know that they have that home security system. Quite frankly, all we're looking for is an address, a name, and a phone number associated with a camera system at this particular address. And what we use that for, Seth, is if we have a crime in the area, a lot of times, understand that a lot of times crimes happen. It may happen in an evening and may not be discovered or reported until the next day. Well, when we take a report of that crime, let's say, as an example, a car burglary. We have a car burglary at such and such location. Well, then we want to contact individuals in the area that have cameras, and by being able to have that contact information by address and phone number, we can reach out and say, Seth, could you, when you get home from work today, would you be willing to take a look at your cameras from this time to this time and look for anything suspicious, a person walking or a particular suspect vehicle or something of that nature. So it just helps us know where the cameras are and provide those resources for us to reach out to you should we need or request to have your cameras looked at, or for you to look at them and then report back to us.
Chief Lowers reminds that in the event of a vehicle invasion, to contact the police, even if you think that nothing was taken. He says it helps his department identify areas of the community where crime is taking place. While many take in the holiday season with excitement and joy, many struggle through the holidays for one reason or another. It could be the loss of a loved one or a general battle with anxiety and depression over the pressure of providing a great holiday experience for your family. Tony Kirkman is the executive director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, and on the WHOW Morning Show Monday, he told the Heart Media Group there are things we can do to find ourselves in a better place emotionally and mentally this season.
I think the first thing would be to acknowledge that you're human and to name those feelings and to embrace them as part of our human condition. I don't know why we feel so driven to either ignore or to pivot off of some of those uncomfortable feelings. Like, when we have those losses, when we have those traumas, it's difficult. And so unless you name them until you acknowledge them, then you can't create a solution to deal with those. So it could be like, oh, I'm not sad. I'm just busy, or I'm just tired, or I'm just, and I think that's the problem, is that when you find yourself saying, that is, you're trying to justify something that is a real feeling. Feelings they're just neither good or bad, and they're temporary, but you got to deal with them, because if not, then you will either have them come out later as an unhealthy repression, or you will sadly make unwise, unregulated choices to try to cope with that. And then you're going to have consequences that far exceed that situation. So I would just tell your listeners, name it, reach out for help, and try to move forward.
For many, the self-imposed expectation of a perfect Christmas is not only unattainable, but it is often not the expectation of those around you. Kirkman reminds most people that for most people, the perfect Christmas is about the memory of being present with loved ones.
One would be, don't set expectations on yourself that no one else is. You don't have to have the 5-piece, meal of the Cornish game hen and the Chilean sea bass and the baked Alaska that comes out. That's not what people remember. People remember presence. And I'm not talking like the ones you open, like your physical presence. And so set boundaries. That probably could be said for anything, because I don't know if you guys, like, I have fun family members, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go and see Cousin Bill, and Cousin Bill's very political, and we're going to have a conversation about the presidency, or Uncle John's going to come drunk again, or like, and I guess for me, it's setting your own boundaries so that you know what they are ahead of time, because you can't set your boundaries in the moment because you're not regulated enough to. And just also, I would say, give yourself a couple pivot words, like, pivot to the weather, pivot to the Bears. Give yourself some rest. Oh, I need to go check on whether or not, mom needs some help in the kitchen, or like, try to think of some of those things where you can kind of release the pressure cooker a little bit.
According to Kirkman, self-medicating to make it through the holidays is often a way of coping with an issue. He encourages getting to the bottom of what you're coping with and putting the work in to deal with it.
Just because they're legal doesn't mean that they're helpful. And I would say, like, probably dialing down more to figure out why you're self-medicating for that. I struggle with, if you're battling depression and you take a depressant, how does it make it better? So maybe this is the year that you give yourself a really good gift, and it's the gift of self-awareness. And I would just tell your listeners, they are worth the hard work. So put it in, figure out what we're trying to cope with. I used to have this really horrible thing I would say in individual therapy was, we would try to go through a few recommendations in counseling, and I would say, well, you tried absolutely nothing and that's not working. Why not do something different for yourself this year? Quit doing the same thing. You're worth it. You are totally worth it, and you're worth the effort.
Among other tips from Kirkman are to know what topics or activities create anxiety in you when you are around family and to have a way out of those circumstances. Visit PyattMHC.org to learn more about the Piatt County Mental Health Center and talk to a professional. The Illinois Farm Bureau actively engaged student of the month for December is Reed Weber from Ridgeview High School in Colfax. He's an FFA'er, 4-H'er, golfer, and National Honor Society and Student Council member. Weber spoke last week with RFD Radio.
And I guess the first question, Reed, what makes this kid in McLean County happy?
Just being on the farm, working out there with my dad, with all the guys who work here, and just learning something new on the farm all the time.
And that dates back how far? What were some of your initial memories on the farm?
Oh, man. I mean, the really first memories are just going out there, being in the field with my dad, from planting and spraying to combining. I was always out there when I was little. Like, I'd beg my parents, could I go out with dad? And just go out there, sit in the tractor. Most of the time end up falling asleep, but just being out there in the field is always a good time.
And I think deep roots with that farm dating back to 1913. How important is that legacy?
It's awesome. Just being able to say, like, it's been in the family for forever, and I'm like, I get to continue that. And just to say, like, that's really what I want to do when I'm older, is just go continue on with the farm and keep it within the family. And I think that's just really cool.
To nominate a student or learn more, visit farmweeknow.com/actively engaged. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. Local sports on the way.
Hey, it's Shane from Highway 51 Exchange, your mower and equipment service pros just south of Clinton. Click our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com or give us a call to schedule your free pickup and delivery today. Highway 51 Exchange.
If you're dreading the leaf raking and snow shoveling, Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth is half the cost of most independent living options and maintenance free. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Now the trees are changing as the weather gets cooler. If you're dreading the leaf raking and snow shoveling that comes with this time of year, Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth is your answer if you're 55 and better. Relax and enjoy the changing seasons without all the yard maintenance worries. Plus, it's half the cost of most independent living options. No stairs, no worries. Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth. Independent living done right. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Clinton Lady Maroons controlled the game from start to end and beat the Meridian Lady Hawks in Central Illinois Conference high school girls basketball action on Monday night in Macon. The Lady Maroons outscored their opponents in every quarter, pushing a 27-14 halftime lead to a 48-29 lead by the end of the third quarter, then holding the Lady Hawks to 4 points in the fourth quarter. Clinton was led by Avery Smith, who scored 16 points. Carly Anderson added 13 points, including a pair of buckets from beyond the arc. Clara Dempsey contributed 10 points. With the win, Clinton improves to 6-4 overall and 2-0 in the CIC, while Meridian falls to 7-2 and 1-1 in the Central Illinois Conference. The Lady Maroons will play host to the Roanoke Benson Lady Rockets on Thursday evening, and you can hear all the action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. Tip-off is at 7:30 p.m. Philip Forsberg scored his 12th career hat trick, leading the Nashville Predators to a 5-2 victory over the St. Louis Blues on Monday night. Forsberg scored in each of the first 2 periods before adding an empty net goal in the third with 3 minutes and 51 seconds remaining. Michael Bunting and Reed Schaefer also scored for Nashville, and Jussaro stopped 20 shots. Roman Josi and Ryan O'Reilly added 2 assists each. Dalibor Dvorsky scored both goals for St. Louis. Joel Hofer finished with 21 saves for the Blues, who have lost 3 of their last 4 games. Bunting scored on a wraparound from behind the net at 1 minute and 23 seconds of the second period. Forsberg scored a power play goal at 5 minutes and 31 seconds, and Schaefer made it 4-1 with 1 minute 15 seconds remaining in the second. Forsberg has 5 goals and 3 assists in a 5-game point streak. He has registered 50 points with 25 goals and 25 assists in 44 games against the Blues. In their last meeting, the Predators beat the Blues 7-2 on Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. The Predators have won 19 of their last 33 games against St. Louis, including 17 of their last 30. Nashville has scored at least 4 goals in 15 of those wins. The Predators will host the Hurricanes on Wednesday, while the Blues will host the Jets on Wednesday. Aaron Rodgers passed for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Pittsburgh kept its grasp on the top spot in the AFC North with a clinical 28-15 victory over the Miami Dolphins, who were eliminated from playoff contention. He is the oldest quarterback in league history to complete at least 85% of his passes. Rodgers connected on 23 of 27 against the Dolphins, including third-quarter touchdown throws of 19 yards to Marquez Valdes-Scantling and 28 yards to DK Metcalf. Throwing short passes that got the ball out of his hands quickly, Rodgers was fine working underneath and letting Pittsburgh's skill position players do the work. Running back Kenneth Gainwell had 126 yards, including a team-high 7 receptions. Metcalf's touchdown catch, he shoved former Steeler Minkah Fitzpatrick out of the way en route to the end zone, came on a pass between 2 defenders that echoed Rodgers in his prime. The Pittsburgh Steelers maintain their 1-game lead over Baltimore in the division with 3 weeks to go. As spotty as Pittsburgh has looked at times, everything remains on the table as Christmas approaches. Miami, who is now 6-8, saw its slim playoff hope vanish in the chill as its 4-game winning streak was snapped. The Dolphins prepped by practicing in the snow at nearby Robert Morris University over the weekend, but it didn't help. While Miami took a 3-0 lead during a sluggish first half on Riley Patterson's career-long 54-yard field goal, Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins' offense had no answer once Rodgers heated up. Tagovailoa completed 22 of 28 passes for 254 yards with 2 garbage time touchdowns to Darren Waller and his NFL-leading 15th interception. Devon Achane, who had powered Miami's recovering from a 1-6 start, ran for 60 yards and caught 6 passes for 68 more, but was a non-factor during the middle portion of the game, when the Steelers scored touchdowns on 4 straight possessions to remain unbeaten at home on Monday night since 1992. Tagovailoa remained winless in games where the temperature at kickoff was under 40 degrees. Miami had minus 20 yards of total offense in the third quarter. Pittsburgh won for the second time in 13 tries without the outside linebacker T.J. Watt during the perennial All-Pros 9-year career. Watt is out indefinitely after having surgery to repair a collapsed lung sustained during a dry needling treatment last week. Asante Samuel Jr. thwarted an early Miami drive with an interception, his first for Pittsburgh after joining its practice squad in October, 6 months after neck surgery. The Dolphins' improved play of late solidified temporarily coach Mike McDaniel's status. With the playoffs out of reach, Miami will turn its attention to the future, one that might not include the bespectacled 42-year-old whose idiosyncratic approach may be wearing thin. The Dolphins will host Cincinnati on Sunday. The Steelers are at Detroit on Sunday. Scores from around the NHL on Monday night. The Anaheim Ducks with a big win over the New York Rangers 4-1. The The Florida Panthers took down their state rival, the Tampa Bay Lightning, 5-2. And in a Canadian matchup, the Ottawa Senators beat the Winnipeg Jets 3-2. The LA Kings fell to the Dallas Stars 4-1. In the NBA on Monday night, the Detroit Pistons took down the Boston Celtics 112-105. The Miami Heat fell to the Toronto Raptors 106-96. The Utah Jazz with a big win over the Dallas Mavericks 140-133. The Denver Nuggets beat the Houston Rockets 128-125. And the LA Clippers fell to the Memphis Grizzlies 121-103. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL Sports Wire on your preferred social media platform, and get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Here's Clinton Civil Out owner Dave Jackson on how he monitors prices to help you save money.
I look and see what retail they are at, and I make that decision whether it is a key item or a mid-tier item as far as importance goes, and I make sure I'm either below or close. And in most cases, I try to go below.
Dave and his staff helps you save up to 40% on your grocery bill every day at your locally owned Clinton Save-A-Lot. And as Dave always says,
hope to see you soon.
Extra model year savings are available. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have 2025 Silverados with extra savings as well as a few other models now. See our 2026 Silverados in regular cabs, double cabs, and crew cabs in gas or diesel. We also have a good selection of the all-new redesigned Chevrolet Traverse. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. See all our inventory at BaumChevyBuick.com right from the start.